what's your answer about cold weather and growing mango?
So it's an interesting topic because mangoes are, I like to tell people that mangoes are a tropical tree, but a subtropical fruit. And that's because, mangoes get damage when they receive freezing temperatures like most tropical trees do. So they don't tolerate freezing weather, but in order to stress them to flower, a lot of mangoes require extended periods of cold weather, at least, multiple nights where the temperature, and when I'm talking about cold weather, I'm talking about temperatures below 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. So, or 15 degrees Celsius. So roughly that's the kind of, best area for getting the mangoes to be stressed enough to flower. Now, in the tropics, they don't get cold weather. So a lot of mangoes can bloom off of drought stress in those areas, but not all mangoes can. So mangoes with Indian genes or Pakistani genes or Burmese, anything from the subtropics are more likely to require cold weather to achieve a bloom. So the issue we have in Southeast Florida in the last 10 years or so is getting enough of that cold weather, getting those cold fronts to go down far enough that they give us a couple weeks where the nights are going down into the 50s or 40s degrees Fahrenheit. So what we've been getting the last couple weeks is a little odd. We're getting these cold fronts that come in for a few days and then they recede, and then our nighttime temperatures go back into, at least in our area, into the mid or upper 60s. That's not desirable because it kind of confuses the trees. It would be much more preferable if we got, like, for example, 14 consecutive nights where the temperature goes into the 50s or 40s. Now, in parts of Florida, they've gotten that already, and they will get that pretty much every year. But we're in Southeast Florida here in Palm Beach County, and then a lot of our customers and stuff are in Broward and Miami-Dade. So that's where most of the mango trees are in the state, because it's the part of the state that's least likely to freeze, historically speaking. But, we haven't been getting those cold fronts as consistently as we used to, 20, 30 years ago. And now we're getting some cold weather. It's great. But people in Central Florida or West Florida, it can be getting too cold. And so when you have temperatures getting down to freezing or below freezing where there's a risk of frost, that's undesirable. You have to protect your trees if they're exposed in those situations and they're not growing in a greenhouse that's heated or something like that. So it's Florida's like a climate of extremes. In India, this is not going to happen. The temperatures stay in the 40s and 50s pretty consistently at night during the winter. We get these like wild swings, which can confuse the trees. And if it's cold enough, it damages the trees and damages the blossoms and the fruit too. So hopefully here, at least, it will stay above the level where we won't get a frost and frost damage. So we'll see what happens. We'll be preparing for it to some degree.
Well, for one night next week or on this weekend, it's supposed to hit freezing. So can damage actually be done on one night of freezing weather? Or
absolutely, just an hour of temperatures at 32 degrees Fahrenheit can damage foliage and stems on young trees. Flowers and small fruit flowers can start to get damaged when the temperature hits the mid 30s from what I've seen. It will cause the pollen to staminate. If you get down close to freezing, the embryos and the small fruit will abort, and then you end up with a lot of dropped fruit, that gets upsized off the tree. So temperatures in the 30s really are not desirable, but like when you get to freezing level, 32 degrees Fahrenheit, that's when you start to see actual damage to the trees themselves. And then you've got a more serious problem, because if you lose blossoms or little fruits, the tree can still flower again, and oftentimes will, assuming that there's still some cold weather to be had left in the winter. And I'm sure there is. But if you get foliage damaged, or if you get stems that get killed back, then you've got a more serious long-term issue. So, yeah.
Okay.
So hopefully we don't get to that cold here, Paul. Hopefully I think the projection for West Palm is like 37 or 36. That's pretty cold. I mean, that's the coldest it's been in a very long time. So I imagine we will see some frost here and there. I just hope that we don't see foliar damage. I can live with some burned flowers or some lost small fruit. I do have a lot of fruit on my trees right now that's developing. Hopefully that doesn't get damaged. We'll see. It's supposed to be kind of windy, and the wind helps prevent frost from occurring. But on another level, you have to be concerned with it desiccating your trees if it's real cold and it's real windy. So you need to make sure you water your trees, especially if you have young trees, before the freeze occurs. So